Okay, let's jump right into this. We're looking at a fascinating and honestly pretty alarming shift happening right under our noses, the evolution of modern theft. This isn't just about someone opportunistically swiping a wallet on the street anymore. It's morphed into a highly sophisticated, multifaceted industry. And as you'll see in this explainer, it's impacting everything from the very foundation of our local housing infrastructure all the way up to the multi-million-dollar offices of Hollywood.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer breadth of this problem, we're going to cover three key areas today. First, the construction industry crisis. Second, a massive $105 million lawsuit. And third, the rise of everyday theft. Let's start with Section 1, the construction industry crisis, the targeted theft of essential building materials.
Over in the Netherlands, professional criminal syndicates are systematically devastating the construction sector, and the targets? They've completely shifted. An absolutely staggering 54.6% of construction professionals are now reporting targeted copper theft, which takes up the lion's share of material losses, right alongside a massive spike in stolen steel. Criminals just aren't grabbing a rogue power drill and running away anymore. They are literally coming for the structural lifelines of these building projects.
Security expert Andre ten Bloemendaal recently put out a major study that hit the nail on the head regarding this exact evolution. We're witnessing a crystal-clear transition from blue-collar crimes of opportunity to highly organized, targeted strikes. These guys aren't guessing. They know the exact layout of the sites and exactly where the most valuable materials are locked up.
So why does this matter to the average person? Well, it's the ripple effect. When these specific, highly valuable materials disappear, the impact is catastrophic. Over a third of affected projects face absolute standstills. We're talking delays of 3 to 4 weeks. You've got longer delivery times for replacement materials, entirely disrupted schedules, and massively increased execution costs. For a country already struggling to meet severe housing shortages and critical infrastructure upgrades, this kind of delay is an absolute roadblock.
But beyond the financial toll, we really have to talk about the profound human cost here. Look at this number. 11.4% of construction workers now report being genuinely afraid of physical attacks from intruders on their job sites.
I mean, think about it. When you feel unsafe at work, your motivation is completely destroyed. It naturally leads to lower employability and a strict reluctance to work at certain high-risk locations. The construction sector is already battling severe personnel shortages across the board, and this growing fear factor, it's just pouring gasoline on the crisis.
All right, moving to Section 2, the $105 million lawsuit, a Hollywood heist and the battle over intellectual property. Now we're shifting from raw copper to digital property, and the numbers here are eye-watering. A British production company is literally suing the streaming giant Netflix for $105 million. This whole thing revolves around an unreleased World War II spy thriller starring Nicolas Cage called Fortitude. The film cost over $45 million to make, and somehow this massive Nicolas Cage blockbuster was simply stolen.
The timeline of how this unfolded is honestly something out of a heist movie itself. On day one, the producers hand-deliver an unencrypted master copy of the film to Netflix's Los Angeles offices for a standard review. Fast forward just 9 days later, day 9, and Netflix emails those producers stating that, incredibly, a good amount of drives were stolen right off their desks.
So naturally, looking at this objectively, we've got a classic high-stakes game of blame shifting going on. Producer Simon Afram claims the film's commercial value is entirely destroyed. His argument makes sense. Distributors simply aren't going to buy a multi-million-dollar film that's now highly vulnerable to devastating piracy leaks. But Netflix is mounting a fierce defense. They dispute carrying the risk of loss, basically arguing, hey, delivering a highly valuable unencrypted drive completely lacks standard industry safeguards. They are currently monitoring piracy sites, but the legal battle over who actually holds the ultimate responsibility here is just beginning.
Which brings us to Section 3, everyday theft on the rise, shifting targets and the erosion of norms in local neighborhoods. Let's zoom back into the micro level for a second. A recent report by the Dutch WODC highlighted a deeply concerning behavioral trend, a broad erosion of norms. This is essentially a shift in social values, where people are increasingly justifying illegal behavior, like shoplifting, by actively believing that the victims, like large grocery stores, quote, already make enough profit. It's an objective shift in the moral baseline, making everyday theft seem perfectly acceptable to certain demographics. And the reality gap this new mindset creates is absolutely staggering. Check this out. In 2024, there were an estimated 650,000 to over 1 million shoplifting incidents, yet only about 40,000 official police reports were actually filed. That is a massive iceberg of theft, flying completely under the radar of the official justice system, just swallowed up by this newly normalized erosion of the rules.
And we're seeing this evolving consumer-level theft spilling right out into our driveways, too. Now, interestingly, overall vehicle thefts actually dropped 8% in the first half of 2026, but the criminals are just adapting. The specific targets are shifting. The Toyota Corolla Cross has now taken the #1 stolen spot, finally bumping the longtime favorite RAV4. And the Renault Capture? That's rising rapidly as a new target. Once stolen, these specific models are quickly trafficked abroad, with most recoveries actually taking place over in Germany and Belgium.
So considering this massive evolution across literally all sectors, from the highly organized stripping of essential construction sites to digital hard drives casually swiped off Hollywood desks, all the way down to the quiet normalization of stealing from your local grocery store, it leaves us with one incredibly critical question to chew on. If the moral baseline against theft continues to blur on every single level, how does a trust-based society actually continue to function?